Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
Oh shit. Double think. Double think.
Well, that'd be cool. I was just trying to figure out, because, like, I had good conversations with you and then my other buddy Shiva in California. And then, my other buddy, just a couple buddies that hit me up from time to time. We always talk and it's cool. And I'm like, well, shit, like, that's more interesting to me as a podcast. Not that we have to be like, oh, now we're on the podcast, but just like, we're just talking about our lives and whatever's going on. And like, that's more interesting to me than trying to just like, talk at the audience, like a podcast that's like just me.
Nah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, it's definitely like how to go about it.
But it don't matter. Like, I'm just trying this out now, and I'll let you know if it works and whatever. We can use it or not. But let's go back to what we were fucking saying.
It might only record one end out of it.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure.
I hope not. That'll suck.
It wouldn't make too much sense. I mean, maybe it depends on what. There's something I've used, but did something where it did that one. It would have worked though.
Yeah, and so I just think, just the thing I liked about what we were talking about is that you got all these, like, upper middle class parents kind of, like, not really supporting their kids or giving them loans or setting them up for businesses, but instead they're like, no, like, go out and, like, climb the corporate ladder, make your own money, and then I'll respect you. And I'm not saying that's the case, like, necessarily with our parents or, everybody.
Nah, but just kind of like a general way to.
But just like a general thing, that's kind of what's going on. And it's like, that's what's, like, why did they make all this money, generally speaking, if, like you said, if you're not going to take care of the family tribe? Like, I'm going to give my son that loan or that job, or I'm going to make sure the people I know, he works for the people I know, not just some random fucking Craigslist job.
I think there's probably a lot of people that do that, though, and maybe even people that don't have that much that do that. You know what I mean?
I think people that don't have that much do that more, unless you're talking about the upper 1%, and then they're like, yeah, my son's vice president. Like, but I think the upper 1% takes that 1% takes care of their own, and then the lower class takes care of their own. But that middle class, I think some people do it. Like, I got some family friends, they all run a company together. Father hired the three sons bought out the dad's stake in the company, and now they run it, and they make enough money that all the three kids can have lives and families and kids and houses, and they're good. And it's just their own little empire. You know what I mean? And they're all just fammed up, and it's like, that's so cool. And now it doesn't work the same for every kind of business. Like, in my family, like, the men in my family practice law. So, like, it's not like they can just be like, oh, I'll give you that law job. Like, no, you got to, like, go to law school, and you got to, like, get that certification. And then even then, like, my dad's law firm had a contract that they couldn't hire their kids. It was called an anti-nepotism policy. And it meant you can't hire your kid here. And I think that's fucking retarded. But the reason they did it so, you wouldn't play favorites, like, oh, got to hire my kid and my kid. And I get that, but that speaks to what I'm talking about, which is this idea of, like, these baby boomers are like, think millennials need to fucking do everything on their own. They're like, oh, okay, well, like, go get a job, or, find one on Craigslist, or join the military, or take out a loan from a bank. Like, on what collateral? Like, none of us own anything. Like what? Our like 10-year-old beat up like Acura. I'm gonna like get a business loan at a bank, be like, you can have my 1998 Acura if you give me $50,000 so I can start my fucking dog washing business or whatever. And it's like, no, all the assets are in the 50 to 70-year-old generation. And the same thing is going on with entertainment. Like, if you look at all the movies, it's like Alec Baldwin is still fucking starring in every movie because all the baby boomers are the fucking people that go buy popcorn and have money to go see Alec Baldwin. And it's not like they're not even making movies for like the artistic millennial. They're making movies for like, you know, like the comic book thing and then like the old like the Hugh Grant romantic comedy for like my moms, like all the my moms out there. And it's just funny. Like the only reason I point that out is like entertainment is adjusting to where the money is too. All the millennials are in debt for going to, you know, or if their parents paid it, then they're lucky. But a lot of us are just like in debt for college education, where we majored in finger painting and then got out of college and found out that there's no jobs fucking painting with your fingers. They're like, nah, you got to use a brush. You can't finger paint here. You got to learn how to use a brush. You're like, a brush? They didn't even tell me I needed a brush in college. They just told me I could like figure out my identity and pick my gender and like be mad at the White House, and then all of a sudden I would like do well in society. It's like, nah, you probably should have been a fucking engineer, you retard. Like, that's what
that shit I knew, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I didn't know certain shit. Like, I was like, okay, like if I was, like if I was to go back, like, and be able to do, which I don't even know if I could have, but I would have probably tried to go to Stern. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I would have gone to business school for sure.
Or done something with like computers or something. You know what I mean? But like,
business school or computer science.
And computer science seemed a little too, I don't know. But I don't really like that stuff. You see what I'm saying? And
like, I don't want to like poke at a screen for the next 40 years. Like, I could go to the fucking technical institute down the block right now, pay them $5,000, get a crash course in JavaScript, and have a job in the next 6 months. You know? But that doesn't even sound like fun. Like, these computer programmers are like living in an alternate reality. You know what I mean? Like playing World of Warcraft and like talking about how cool VR is, and they can't get a date or talk to anyone at a coffee shop. And it's like, that shit's kind of weird too. But I think you're right about CERN. Like, I would have gone to CERN too. Like, Gallatin is so hippie. Like, we got like the hippiest, like, good degree you could possibly get.
Yeah, maybe in some arenas you can like, you can make it look iller, you know what I mean?
What's that?
Like, because it's kind of rare, you can like kind of, and it is NYU or something, you can kind of like make yourself stand out in a way or something. But
no, that's true. But like, I was like,
it's got to be directly applied then to that major, you know what I mean?
Right. And I was like, okay, dramatic writing, philosophy, and acting. All right, great. So either I go to LA and make it, or I'm back in Minnesota, like back to ground square one. Like, no money in that. Tried that for 10 years, eking by on part-time jobs. Nobody's trying to hire that philosopher, actor, playwright. You know, because I'm not churning out fucking comic book screenplays. And so now I'm back, like, looking on Craigslist, being like, fuck, I could drive Uber. I got, like, 2 degrees worth, like, $300,000, and I could drive Uber. I could work at a coffee shop, or I could bitch out to a large corporation for 50 hours a week plus my soul. You know? And it's like, none of that shit sounds good. But I'm not hating the game. I'm just trying to figure out how to play it. Like, that's what I was telling you earlier. Like, I'm all about my little garden. Like, how can I get my little cherry tree, my little apple tree, my little vegetable garden, my little weed patch, you know? I'm chilling with my girl, doing my little thing as an artist. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm fucking taking all solicitations and ideas at this point because, like, even while we were talking, I hit that dude up and wrote him back about that part-time job. Like, I mean, my hunch is he's not interested in me. But when we met, he was like, "Yo, you went to USC? Like, you went to the Annenberg School?" He's like, "Why are you here? Like, you went to NYU? Like, what are you doing here? This is like a part-time job for like someone who just graduated from the local community college." And I'm like, I'm here because this is the fucking job that's there. It's the only thing on Craigslist when I type in writing and editing that actually showed up, you know, that doesn't pay bottomed out wages for 40 hours a week. Like, I was looking for like a decent paying part-time job. And I was like, you're the only one who's offering it. And it's so, yeah, I mean, it's fucking, you know, like, who is this guy? He's all impressed, and then we'll see if he fucking hires me. But I'll take the job. My dog's being a little shit. Come here. I really do love this dog, but he's just, like, my parents are, you know, like, it's not my dog. It's my parents' dog. That's what I'm thankful for. Because if it was my dog, it's like signing up for another 10 years babysitting. Which is not what I want right now. But anyway, yeah, back to this. So these baby boomers should fucking give loans to their kids to start businesses so that they can be entrepreneurs and not have to climb some corporate ladder. You know, like I was saying earlier, like drive fucking golf carts around and be on film sets in Hollywood from people that treat them like shit to get coffee. And they went to NYU for that shit. And that's what I was saying about, like, so these baby boomers with this fucking, they got their padded Roth IRAs and their fucking, what's that other savings thing that everyone talks about? 401k. They got their 401ks. Everything's padded. They got their houses paid for. They're almost finished on their 30-year mortgages on their houses. And they're sitting on all this money talking about, like, maybe we should live in Boca Raton and, like, move to Florida. Meanwhile, their 24-year-old kid needs to, like, work at Starbucks so that he can afford, like, to live in the poverty-stricken part of town. And it's like, why don't these parents help their children and be more family oriented and less like individualist? That's what it's like in Asia. They take care of their family. Like when the girl will go live with the boy's mom and dad, like in Asia, that's more common. And it's like, and that's like normal. Like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, I got my girl living with my parents. Like, that's normal. Fucking normal. And so we're like culturally programmed to be like, no, you got to go to some random bank that wants to collateralize any asset that you have for some 30-year fixed rate mortgage that if you default on, they're going to come take your shit. Meanwhile, your fucking parents or your girl's parents have 2 extra bedrooms and they're paying property taxes on something that they've owned for like over a decade. And that's what I'm saying about how the money system is so psychotic. Like, why?
And it's double the effect too, because not only does it take away that scenario you described, but it also puts that much more money into a pocket of that person for what they are doing. You see what I'm saying? And
right.
Some money in the bank.
Right. Exactly. And that's why.
So even though I was working at Starbucks, you see what I'm saying? Like,
you could come up, but if you were paying rent and you were at Starbucks, there's no, I mean, barring some unexplained thing, like there's no way you can come up. There's no way you can get your money up like that. And so but so then why is there shame? And this is what I'm really trying to get at for our whole fucking country. Why is there shame living rent free to get your money up? And why are parents so adverse to the idea of helping their kids become financially, what's that word? Solvent. Like, that's just a fancy word for like debt free and good, you know? And it's like, no, you got to be in debt and you got to go pay rent at some place that some landlord owns like 7 buildings in town and like never fixes the heating and like keeps upping your rent 3% every year.
So they could have money to go do what they want to do.
Yeah, so they can live in Boca Raton while you get in debt, so that for the next 20 years you're trying to pay down a credit card bill that they keep asking you to just pay a little bit of, so they can always fucking own you. And it's
like right now I'm working basically to help some dude run his business, make his money, get his little chick out here from the Philippines, like pay off his debt that he got into, like they got nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with you. You're fixing his debt on your fucking man hours, right? And are you getting economically solvent? No, you're chipping away at a debt that you took on because you out in that situation and you weren't, even though you had the family that could have supported you and helped you get solvent.
And then even not getting my hours consistently puts me in a position to
and you won't even you're not even on contract.
Necessarily guaranteed to pay my bills.
Exactly. So now we're talking about like you wake up in the morning like, I hope I got the breakfast, like I hope the car starts, I hope the tire don't pop, I hope I can work hours at the spot. I mean, all these, like, anything could just crack and it's like a house of cards. And now, like we talked about parachutes, like we can go back to our families and be like, yo, like, gotta stay in the basement. And they may not like it, but they're not going to say no. But a lot of cats out here, and now we're talking about, like, cats that don't have those families, they don't even have that option. So if one fucking card falls, the whole castle comes down, and then what are they, bankrupt, on welfare, you know, living at their second cousin's house, sleeping on the couch. And, I mean, and that fucking sucks. And my heart goes out to those people. Like, at least these, you know, like, wealthy baby boomer, upper middle class kids, like yourself and myself with fancy educations, like, we can default back to, well, you're not going to kick me out on the street, are you, Mom? Like, and they're not going to do that shit. But short of that, they're like, got this whole American mentality that they're like, buck up, find a job. You know, like, you got all the skills, we gave you all the skills, now prove it. And it's like, all right, or why don't you just hire me at your dope ass job and pay me good and keep the money and the value in the family? You know I'm talented, I'll work for you. Why is it taboo in America to work for your father? That we should fucking change that shit.
And to me, you can't, like, I could feel okay if it was something that wasn't allowed and they couldn't, but like, then it almost becomes like, especially in a scenario where it's like let's say you're coming for that, you know what I mean? Or it's like, so I need that right now.
Right.
Like, and then it becomes like, well, for me, it's like, for whatever the reason is, you're not, like, in a sense, like, worthy, or like, it's not.
Right, like, because you're asking for it, all of a sudden you don't deserve it?
Or whatever the reason for not, you know, doing it is something that is a downside. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a down, right. And whether it's personal to me or not, whatever, but like, still, it's like, why in this kind of relationship should there be any kind of downside? You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think the parents and, like, you know, who've worked for 35 years, 40 hours a week so that we could get these educations and have these abilities should be like, fuck yeah. And, it, you know, but instead, kids are feeling shame because they're in college debt and they're in their mid-20s and they got to move back to their mom's house and they feel shame. And I think that that's cultural. I don't think that that's real. Like, I think the parents are brainwashed to think it's bad to have.
Or they living in, like, apartment places, paying that, doing that shit with roommates and shit, and in debt, doing it like that. You see what?
Yeah, and that's what you got out in Brooklyn. Like, a bunch of 20-somethings, like, working at startups, you know, sleeping, like, 4 people to an apartment, and they each have, like, a little closet that they pay $1,000 a month for. And it's like, well, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
You know?
it's just like even the stuff they are able to generate, it's just like sucking that down the drain instead of
Like it all goes right back to the landlord that's trying to get to Boca Raton. And he's not your parents. He's not friends with your parents. He doesn't care about your family. And meanwhile, these kids are basically prostituting their work hours out to just not even be solvent, but just to breathe, just to keep their head
That
above.
was my issue with Starbucks. Like, it was like, which their thing was like, well, we're basically they kind of presented as like it's better than McDonald's, it's better than these places. It's like the upper echelon of like fast food service, basically.
Right.
Because it's Starbucks, you know what I'm saying? But like, really, as a job, like, yo, you doing this shit, and the bonus there is like maybe I don't know, like they're supposedly a little better, but like it's like you get tips and the hourly wage is a little higher. But then it's like, but yo, you in here like charging like $5 for a frozen drink I just made out of ice, couple squirts of sugar, and like a teaspoon of not a teaspoon, but like a splash of milk in this bitch, like
Right. And that's $5.
And we just turning these motherfuckers out, like,
Yeah. Hundreds a day.
So successful and all this, like, damn, like, and I can't even get, I sit here and put all this time, I can't even get 40 hours, and then the way they're running this shit, it's like, oh, it just don't make sense. It's like, damn, like, that's why I was telling the HR, I was like, how many people have you spoken to that even bring it to this level and, you know, even care that much? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I came here to this company, and I understand, like, if I'm working for these managers and this and that, but, like, I'm speaking to you now, and it's like, I'm telling you what's wrong and what I see as an employee. And, like, I'm, you know, not to toot my own horn type of thing, you know, but, like, I'm college educated. Like, I'm overqualified for this job. And I've got, like high schooler, you know, fresh out of high school being my supervisor here. And
right.
there's people in here not doing shit and making my life harder. And all this bullshit that goes on. And there's no oversight to this shit. And even, you know what I'm saying? And it's not going to benefit me to even bring it up anyway.
Right. And that's that whole, like, that's what I think is wrong. Not wrong, but that's what I think is like, that's like the disease of the corporatocracy. Like, Starbucks doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? The CEOs are making 7 figures a year. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so impersonal. And that's why I was going back to this thing like we've been talking about. It's like the family units. Like, the families should take care of the families. And if you don't got a family, that's even harder. But the ones that do feel like they don't have it, and if they rely on it, now they got to hold all this shame because the culture is like, oh, you shouldn't live there. Like, you should take out fucking loans and debt and fucking pay some landlord that doesn't want to fix your plumbing.
Yeah, or you should be making a bunch of money. Like, why aren't you making a bunch of money?
Mm-hmm. And what's funny is about that is even like my family, like my dad's friends, like, they're wealthy and stuff, and their kids, they got good jobs, good full paying, full salary, 401k, you name it, match your Roth jobs. But put all those kids' salaries together, and they still don't make as much money as their parents made. Like, the kids aren't making as much money as the parents. And so that's where it gets like the purse is being held by the like 55 to 75 year olds right now. And they're in this mindset that they can't help their kids, generally speaking. You know, not everybody, of course, but like, and that's what I think is the disease. Like, that's the fucking mind virus that our country is like suffering from. Like, don't help your kids. They got to do it on their own because that's how you did it. No, you did it on your own so they don't have to do it on their own. Like, it's supposed to give, like, it's like my grandpa was a farmer so my dad could go to college so that I could be a fucking artist, you know?
Yeah, whatever you're doing, you know, or at least like trying to fulfill, I don't know, some level of like, you know, like let's say it was me, it would be like, okay, well, I'm not going to help you like try to do this because I don't think that's, you know, and I might agree with that, but Like, what is something that we could do, or
That you
way
do
I
agree
could
on.
involve you, or what
Right.
what could help, even if it is just like this one thing that takes this burden off of me and allows me to, you know what I mean, at least be more like for me specifically, more like outgoing and like have a positive outlook rather than bogged down and like get to that place in the first place. You know, when it's hard enough as is, even when you are doing stuff. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's still a struggle. So it's like, and then it's like, now you're talking about trying to get to the point to have a family and kids. Now that's a whole nother, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's
right.
like, maybe it was possible at one point, and maybe it is possible now, but it seems like, you know, it's a lot harder now, and it's a lot, like, even whatever people are doing, it's more like, it seems like more momentary maybe for a lot of people rather than any kind of like longevity or like connected like kind of like long-term plans or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, man. And so,
I don't know because I can't speak for everyone, but
well, me
it's
neither.
kind of like, so it's been so many generations. Like, why aren't there like, you know, granted you move and stuff or like, you know, for the jobs or military this, but like, why isn't there like somewhere that's like an established place for this family?
Right. And that's
everyone in the family, all these adults like, yeah, I'm grown now, but that's why I'm saying it, because like I'm looking at the world now, like, you know, not like a kid or whatever when I was a kid. So it's like, why haven't y'all like combined to set up some kind of like some foundation? You see what I'm saying? And to me, it would at least be like a property.
Yeah, like a property where anyone in the family can like live and work out of to become economically, you know, like free. And then if they want to branch out from that, they can, but at least they're not doing it in debt, paying something. Then they can actually like, you know, like take out like a whatever, like put a down payment on a house or, you know, or an apartment or whatever, and like start to move towards owning it, so they're not just paying some landlord indefinitely for the rest of their life. But like this idea of like a family unit, like, all right, here's the house, like you and the Johnson family, like you're good, you can come to live in the Johnson house, like.
And when I say that, I mean I'm bringing that up too, because that, for me, that's the biggest chunk of like what you spend is on the rent.
And same for everyone, bro. It's like all.
So if you eliminate that, now you can have room to grow on.
And then that's another like $600 to $2,000 a month, depending on where you live in the country. You know, 600 up to $2,000 a month. That these younger people could be saving, but instead they're just dumping it into someone else's like big scheme. And like, we need to be putting the fucking money back into the scheme to help the fucking people we love. And that's why I think the country's so fucking split up, is that like, I feel like we're not guiding our decisions as like families that love each other, but we're like, oh, America, gotta be on your own. Like, pull them up by your bootstraps. Like, go out there and get it. And it's like, why have we been here for 5 generations? You know, like my family came over on a boat from fucking Norway.
Yeah, wasn't that what was coming here to do, was like set this shit up so it didn't have to be like this shit?
Yeah, like didn't we come here so that like,
like to get out from under the king's rule type of shit?
Like my great grandma and grandpa like ran a farm in fucking North Dakota, so my great grandpa could fucking move to Minnesota so his son could fucking be a realtor, like a farm realtor, so that his daughter could fucking go to college, meet my dad who went to law school, and now I'm an artist who's broke. But like, I couldn't even be an artist and have all this education and studied finger painting if my great grandpa didn't come over here from Norway and fucking start planting potatoes. And it's like what are we building for if we're not helping each other? Like, if we're not thinking generally. And that's why I think the 1% is smart, is that they care about their kids and their grandkids. Like they're going to hire you at that job. They're going to make sure you get the interview. So, I don't know, it's
I think that too is part of the reason shit is kind of because it's like it is those cats too trying to do that. You see what I'm saying? Into the like extreme because the way it's set up. You see what I'm saying? Like it's like it's them against the world almost. You know, they have to get to that. It creates a like dynamic. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they kind of become like, I don't know, like that's what it seems like. I don't really know, you know what I mean? But it seems like, that it's kind of like in England or something, probably like the royal family or something. Like
Right.
maintain that they gotta maintain this whole thing of being the queen and like.
And that's some whole other
go back
shit.
to being like whoever over on the.
They all got to like sleep with their second cousins and like keep it in the bloodline and shit. I mean, that's just like so weird. And that's what's interesting is the Queen owns Canada. Some people don't even think about that. Like the Queen owns Canada.
That's the shit where it's like, yo, like this is backwards as fuck. Like, how is that even like a statement?
Right. Like, how can I even say that like today? Like, yo, the Queen owns Canada and fucking a bunch of other small countries and the UK and Ireland, and it's like, I mean, what is all that shit? But that goes back to my other thing where it's like, damn, like, I think the other thing is that, we're thinking about all these global, worldwide issues, but we haven't even figured out how to just like plant our own little fucking garden and on our own little plot of land, and you know what I mean? Get your little soul.
I think that's part of everything too, is keeping, and it's specifically what we're talking about with family and stuff, keeping people from focusing on those things. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't got time to focus on that. You better go focus on getting this, or like, oh, you are getting on something, well, come spend it over here, like.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't take your kid to Disneyland? What?
Right.
You didn't spend like thousands of dollars and then get locked in this fucking park where they're gonna charge you all this shit for like soda and and go buy all this DVDs and like.
Yeah, all this fucking weird ass.
That stuff is bad stuff, like in terms of like what the parents are doing and like all this. You know what I mean? But just like.
But that's that
crazy.
idea.
It's like
yeah,
people do it and it's like the thing.
Yeah, man, and it's the same thing. Like college debt is like the only thing that if you go bankrupt, they won't forgive college debt. So like, if you do go to college, but your parents don't pay for it, then you're basically a debt slave for the next 30 years. Like, that's how they get us. Oh, you get in college, you're young, you're 18 years old, and they're like, oh, take out a student loan. No big deal. We'll send you this money. And you like blow it on like buy a nice couch and like fucking, like go for a little trip or something. Like, oh, I got all this money. And then little do you know, like you graduate, and if you can't get a great job immediately, you're going to be in debt for 5 or 10 years or longer. And even if you go bankrupt, they're like, you still owe us $200,000. Shut the front door.
Even if someone can't get a good job, still.
Yeah, and then when the ones that get the good jobs, are living in LA and New York, and they're paying $1,500 a month to live in a shoebox that they're not even renting to own. You know what I mean? And so they're just barely keeping their head above water, paying the minimum on their debt, and just perpetuating this slavery cycle. And that's where it's like,
what is the cat working for? Like, it's not the.
And that's why I'm all about the fucking Johnson family. Like, welcome to the Johnson family. Come live here. We got like fucking 16 rooms for all our cousins. Like, it's fun. We have these dope ass big dinners, and like babies are running around, and fucking kids are there, and artists, and we're a dope family. Like, welcome to the Johnson family. Like, why doesn't that exist? It's like taboo. It exists all over Asia, everywhere in China. It's like, that's my grandma, that's my great grandma, that's my mom, that's my girlfriend, that's my kid. We all fucking eat dinner together. Like, but somehow in America, no, like, gotta put the old folks in some fucking sequestered area of society where they just like only hang out with old people. Don't even get to see their grandkids. Like, that's not healthy. Like, we need to listen. Old people are smart as fuck. They've been around a long time. But our culture just, like, sticks them in a little home and, like, visit them once a week. And if you're fucking a good son. But that's a whole nother issue. So back to the practicals is what the fuck can I do now to build my little garden so that I can be that kind of man, you know? And so, okay, so I'm back on Craigslist looking for writing jobs. Like, damn.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I'm like, I mean, you could drive around and try to find some shit, but like, it's like, go on these sites or whatever, and then it's just like, fuck. Going through this shit.
And all these
it's better in bigger areas, don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but like, when it's
Nah, but and everyone's trying to pay you less than, oh, you can work for us 35 hours a week. Why 35? Because anything more than that, and we have to pay for your health insurance. So you mean I'm uninsured, I got to take care of my own fucking dental, my own fucking health insurance. You're going to pay me the lowest rate you can and make me work as much as I can until you have to fucking cover me. And so that goes, so I'm overeducated, underpaid, underinsured, no fucking 401k, and people are running around driving Uber, and Uber's treating them all as private contractors with no fucking health benefits. These cats are driving 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Oh, but you're a private contractor. Like, we don't know you shit. And that's like my whole beef with this fucking rent-a-taxi.
And all they do is running a fucking app.
Yeah. They're just running an app.
They're not even like...
They're just like chilling in Palo Alto, like paying a bunch of computer scientists and geeks to fucking code.
I was like, that Discog site?
Right.
I was like, whoever's running this shit, like, they probably got it made because you probably don't need hardly anyone.
Right.
You got the fucking shit set up. Now it's just probably automatic, basically. Like, yeah, you got some people to respond to emails or something, I bet, but fucking, like, it seems like they don't really even do that hardly that well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And then, like, you just getting, like, money on top of, like, what people are posting on. Like, you just sit back and, like, every month, like, these cats is cutting you a check.
Shit.
Like, mad people.
Right.
Like, damn, and it's based off of, like, how much they're selling and shit. So, like...
What do they sell up on that shit on Discogs? It's like, CDs and shit?
Music. Yeah. But it's like, man, it should be in so, so if I could generate some little income, I don't even got that much shit on there, like, but, then I'm paying them, like, maybe like $20, $30 a month or something because of how much I'm selling. And then you take, like, the people that are selling more, they probably paying, like, a lot more on that shit.
Right.
And you multiply that by all these people that's on there, and they probably get, and for the size of who's running, like, what's needed, it's like, they're probably banking off of this shit.
Yeah, and that's like, that gets into this thing like, okay, so now everyone's trying to figure out how to make money on the internet. So now everyone's like an affiliate marketer for Amazon, fucking like selling you credit cards and all that shit. And it's like, everyone's just bitching out for this like corporatocracy system that like fucks everyone over. It's not easy to make a quick buck on the internet. Like, unless you got like, I got like 300,000 followers on Instagram and YouTube and they're paying me for ads. Like, okay, maybe you're getting like $200-300 a month or something.
Yeah. I think like if me and you, like, let's say right now we're specifically talking about like combining like our brain power or something. I feel like if you open like the doors to like anything and think primarily like low cost or like high profit and try to and something that's like broad, like it's got to be something that, you know what I mean, like to generate, in a where there's that much stuff going on in the world, you know what I mean? Is that connected?
Right.
Even if you're not doing it on the internet per se, but like, you know, I don't know. It's certain stuff I feel like if you got into, like, and approach it from a different way, it's a way to make some money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
for instance, like, I'm always focused on, like, thinking about music. Like, oh, if I did this with music, like, if I took that same approach maybe with something that, like, people do buy and it's not a hard sell like that, you know what I mean?
yeah, no, I mean, to your point, like, that girlie I was telling you about that I've been seeing, like, so she's a photographer, right? So she's selling prints online, you know, 30, 40, 50 bucks a pop. And, you know, her profit margin is crazy. Like, it takes me 3 months to make an album, and I make, whatever, $10 on iTunes and got to pay iTunes 3 or 4 of it, and I make $6. But she goes out and takes 500 pictures of whatever that's interesting, and then she can print them. Costs her $4 or $5 to print it, another $5 to ship it, and she's selling it for 40 or 50. Meanwhile, I'm trying to sell music. Man, I should be a fucking photographer, you know? Or
Well,
like,
even photography, that's probably a harder stuff. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's stuff that people
there's
need.
other
like,
stuff that people just need. Like, you know, there's people that sell like used phones all day on Amazon, or like, I mean, what do people need is the question. Like, what do you think would be something that you could actually sell? Like, it's not like it's fucking Beanie Babies. Like, what do
Well,
people
one thing is like I'm kind of like opposed to like, you know, thinking like this, but in the first place in some areas, but like for instance, it's like you're talking about markup, right?
Right.
So it's like, or like let's say a car, right?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know about the markup, but like the price of it is high. But like at the same time, a car, I would say like, how often do you buy a new car? Not that often.
Right.
So, like where's the something that's kind of like a higher something
Purchase.
that's cheaper, like
Right.
shoes or something like I feel like fall into that category where it's like, yo, they're selling shoes for like $100 a pair that cost them who knows how. Granted, it's probably like a high investment to get into that industry, you know, like, but and then like maybe on the smaller scale would be something like food, some kind of food thing, you know, that's not like, you know, the food industry in this restaurant, like, but some kind of way where you're like, you know, like, I don't know, like not having to have all this crazy shit to deal with, but like you selling something like that kind of like the coffee thing, like, you know, like coffee truck type of, like you minimizing something, like that's not the best idea, like that's kind of inside the box, but like, or even something where they're getting that through the internet, but like you able to just go sit there and supply it.
Right.
Like if I filled up my apartment with some item of like something that somehow I could get for cheap, and I know it's gonna sell eventually, especially if I don't need that much. Like I can lower my price because I don't have overhead like other cats.
Mhm.
That's something like that, like something simple, like where it's like, oh, you need fucking these? I got these for, you know, and it's online on like eBay or like, you know, somewhere. You know, I think
Amazon. Like, I mean, you can do it all. You can like send your fucking batch or whatever to like to Amazon's like, you know, little warehouse or whatever. You pay them a little yearly fee, and they'll ship it for you. But the question then is, all right, what is that item? Like, I guess it would take some research to look up, like, what do people buy the most frequently that you could get?
Here's one idea I had, like, that's around that idea is, getting cheap ass shit, or like hand picking shit, or free shit, and then storing it and reselling it.
Like, what kind of shit though?
Like whatever, like for instance, I go to the thrift stores around here or something, right? And granted, you know, it's a lot of stuff in there, but like, you might find a couple items that like, hey, they selling it for $1, I can sell it for 10.
Right.
Like, oh, a cassette player, like let's say, like, Cass is paying a lot of money on eBay. I don't know what kind of, but like, you can find different and even to the point of like Cass getting rid of stuff, like, you know, and just being like, oh, Like someone, if they want to go and get that, they're gonna have to spend $30. I'll sell it for 15.
Right.
I'm getting it for like nothing basically. Or like I like I don't know, like finding like junk, but that's like better than the junk, like hand picking out of the junk and reselling it, or even
Well, that's
I don't know
something that
fashion
sounds
that
fun.
well, but
That sounds fun to me because, like, I love going to thrift shops and looking for little gems. Like, that's one of my
well,
favorite.
you
That's
know
what I
they
do.
sell that shit high at some of these big cities. I don't know about there, but like
No, you got it. The only way you could do it is like I would drive out to the sticks, and I would go to thrift shops out in the sticks. You know, 1
that's
hour,
what I'm saying. Like I'm out
2
in
hours
the
away from the city. And then you set it up and you're shipping that shit online, selling it on Amazon and eBay, you know, at a fucking 400% markup, which is still a deal compared to the other shit of the same caliber that's being sold on the internet. But then the trick is how do you What's that?
You want to hear one idea I got?
Mm-hmm.
Is doing clothes like that. And even to the point, like you could take it to different levels, but even to the point you flip the clothes even. Like if you get someone down like that, like that does, you know, they trying to do like fuck trying to come up with your whole new fashion line and shit. Like you know, all you got is like these like hoodies, but like you know, or certain you can't even afford to really do this shit. Like, but you know how to like, you know how, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like let's just buy up all this cheap shit. But it could be better stuff. You see what I'm saying? Like find the like right shirts, the right materials, and maybe you just tweak and flip it. Maybe you take the tag off, put our own tag on that shit. Like I don't know the laws of all that shit, but like you know, flip the gear, make it cool, a little even cooler. You know, than just like oh, it's because it's vintage and like some older shit, you see, or like thrift store shit.
Right.
And take this shit, oh, it's good quality, and flip it into something else. You know what I'm saying? And put it online and then like have pictures like you know where the pictures like created like oh this is some ill like boutique like ill fashion shit in the way you pair up.
I don't know how all the laws work with like the name brands and shit, but like if you were just getting like some fucking whatever made in wherever that wasn't like you know like Dior or some fucking you know fashion shit, and then you made it cool like that might work. But at that point, it's like you might as well just start fucking doing these things where we design T-shirts and hats and hoodies and, you know.
But what about this for a more specific example? Like I was in the thrift store once and they had like ties, right?
Mhm.
It's like ties. They got all kinds of designs and it's very like dependent on the tie and then what it's paired with. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And at the same time, maybe some cats want to be out of the box, like, you know, whatever. But, like, what if you just had, like, an online tie store and you just got, like, all these fucking different fucking ties and you only get ones that are, like, in ill condition. So, like, then you just got mad ties and you just mark up all the prices, but then you got so many and you got this, like, ill online shit that, like, cats buying ties might just cop ties off of there. Because you got shit that they're not selling nowhere else. It's such a variety.
And you're getting shit that's like, it's cool because it was cool 20 years ago and now it's cool again. The only problem with ties is the only people buying ties are lawyers. Nobody wants a fucking tie anymore. But lawyers got money and there's a lot of lawyers, so, I mean, some people are buying ties. But like,
that'll make it the new trend, like cats wearing ties.
well, that's also interesting. Is like maybe ties come back, and then all of a sudden you're like well poised. You got all these fucking ties up in your crib, and next thing you know, like you can charge fucking $15 a tie, and you were paying $1. You know, like that's interesting. Yo, I think
the internet is so wide open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like I think that I even think that our conversation now just about life and money and trying to come up and family, like that's more interesting than anything I've been talking about on my podcast, you know? My vibe is like I'm just like it's more interest like the people I talk to are really interesting, so I think it's cooler for me to do a podcast where it's just me and a homie talking, even if it's a different homie every time. And some of them come back and we talk again. But like I don't know. I'm just trying to, you know, I'm always like strategizing how to build out the Frank America brand and how to grow my.
Just you could do stuff with just off the phone like that. You don't have to like set up, do this and that.
I mean, and it's cool. Like I can just talk to you on my phone, and then, now I got a piece of content. I can throw it on the website. I can put it anywhere I want. I only put my shit on YouTube, but if I wanted to, I could put it on Spotify and iTunes and.
Yeah, that's some shit I was gonna do with some prank call shit, but I never got to it. Real quick.
Yeah. Prank call shit's funny. That's not really my domain.
Yeah, I was gonna take like kind of like the angle of the prank call would be within the like character. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
As opposed to just like, let's make prank calls and try to like do dumb prank calls. It would be like, I'm gonna call here like trying to get the show or whatever, or like make it like, yo, we're really doing this shit for like you calling cats and like recording that shit.
No, see, I think that's a great. I'd love to do a whole episode where it was like, we're trying to get this show or trying to whatever, trying to get some magazine to write about the new album or like any of this hustle shit that's really hard, and then just like show people how hard it is. But like it would also be funny because like you're recording, so you could like be a little bit more character.
I was gonna be outlandish with it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, you don't want to fucking play Frank America? Like,
exactly.
Hey, there's a fucking lunar eclipse tonight.
I think I've seen Lower posted something, mentioned something about the moon and shit.
Yeah, check for the moon tonight. It's going to be up for like hours. It's like one of the longest ones, and there's not going to be another one for a couple of years. A full lunar eclipse. And it's going to turn all red.
Was there one just like a month or two?
Partial. Talking about fully, like the sun fully occludes the fucking moon. Like,
that's where I started getting confused by all this. I was like, man.
Well, they say it's the Earth, but I don't know. Jury's out on that.
In front of the moon, one in front of the sun. Something's going on.
Who's in front of what? What's in front of who?
It looks like something out here.
I mean,
I don't.
It was a good
It
conversation.
was a bad conversation. Like I'm not saying that, but
I mean, it was all about that, about the money, the hustle, the struggle, America, family, the Johnsons. I don't know.
Yeah, who's the Johnsons?
The Johnsons are the family unit that get the fucking crib where everyone can live. You get the property.
Oh, you just made that up?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Just like as like a placeholder. Like, what are we talking about? Oh, that's the Johnsons. Like, they got their own farm. They sell their own honey. All the kids live there. Sometimes they move out. Sometimes they travel, but they always got the spot. That sounds good to me.
I mean, that's what isn't that kind of like the premise of, like,
Yeah, that's the premise. That's what I think will change America.
Like, come and, like, try to build, like, we get
like,
our own land.
I would name this podcast, The Johnsons Will Change America. Like, that is what that idea about empowering the family unit is what's going to fucking change this country. In a good way. Or help it grow, Yeah, otherwise, it's more fucking kids separated from their parents, debt, slavery, shame, and all the bullshit.
And I think the next level of that is like local community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It goes from once your home unit is good, then you take care of your neighbor, then you take care of your block, then you're at the farmers market, then it's everyone in your community, then it's your district, then it's your state, then it's your country or your region, then your country.
That's what you see how it's kind of backwards.
Yeah. Like right now,
what's going on in the White House and like Washington D.C.
Right. It's all about the country.
The Democrats and Republicans. Like,
right. It's all about the country, but it's not about the region or the state, or the district, or the county, or the city, or the fucking community, or the block, or your neighbor, or your family. It's like it's all reversed up.
It's weird.
But yeah.
I mean, I kind of like can feel that in a sense. I don't know, but like to me, maybe it's more because of like the way shit kind of is. I feel like similar too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know.
Well, that's what I was getting at earlier. It's like I'm reading the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and the local Tribune, and it's all like Trump, 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 Trump. And I'm like, damn, there's got to be a lot more going on in the world than this 72-year-old dog. Like,
Yeah, like how much of like what's actually going on in the day to day of all of our life is like whatever's going on that level like depends, you know, and specifically like what I've been seeing, and I have like just caught a glimpse of the news or something. Not specifically even Trump, but like just a random Russian thing or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And the whole thing with the
damn,
Russians.
shouldn't our system be advanced enough that like we're don't you got CIA and all, like that like yo either the shit happened or it didn't, and if it did, like yo these motherfuckers not supposed to be in office, or if it's that much in question, just like fuck them, like.
Right.
I'm the next candidate that it ain't a question.
Right. Right.
Like, we got business to handle out here. I don't know.
Word.
But see, all that stuff is like, I don't really know what's going on, you know?
No, I mean, me neither. That was my whole point, you know, earlier before we started.
Building your own shit.
Was, yeah, like, what am I really doing? What's my little garden? Like, what's in my little world that I can really kick ass at? And
yeah,
that's what
my
matters.
response is, though, is that's still, like Malcolm X, like, get your hand out my garden, son.
Right.
Like, damn. But go ahead, my bad.
No, I agree 100%. Like, get your hand out my garden.
It's like I'm trying to get away from y'all, but like y'all still like want me to, and there's nowhere for me to go anyway. You know what I mean?
I'm researching, like, where in the USA can you fucking live that doesn't charge property taxes? Because why the fuck do I have to pay for land that I fucking paid for? You know what I mean? Are you telling me I don't own the land I own?
Yeah, like what's going on here on this piece that y'all can't even come on? Did I owe y'all something now?
I owe you all for I planted this, I built this house, I fucking planted this garden, I made this family. We contribute, we have a business, we sell fucking whatever to the people around us, they like it. And you're telling me I have to pay to live on this land? And I did some research, and there are places in the USA where you can live and not pay property taxes.
Yeah, or they might be real low or something.
Yeah, or they're super low. Like Alaska is one of the ones that came up. There's some place, because basically you just have to live in a place that's not a county. Like if you live outside of a county, but you're not in anybody's county, then technically you're not. And I mean, this isn't fucking financial advice, but just a little bit of research, and I learned that there are places that you can live. And then there's also places that have what's called, like they run their own shit. And they're like a little, they got their own little government. They do their own little taxes, and everything goes to their local shit. And they're exempt from federal shit. And, that's some, like, for example, the state I'm in, Minnesota, like, has that option. Like, it's called home rule. HOMERULE, like home rule. And you can just fucking declare it, and then, like, you gotta set up your own little government, but then you don't have to pay fucking property taxes to the USA.
But you could get out of that shit out there?
Yeah. I looked it up. For a lot of the states have it. It's a really interesting legal area. There's home rule is accepted in some places, and then other states it's not accepted, like case by case basis, and you got to meet certain qualifications to like actually have your shit as home rule. But you know, but anyway, I mean I'm just thinking about all the ways I can be more free. You know. Like how can I get the fucking government's hand out my pocket?
Yeah, it's crazy. But that to me also is like even almost secondary, you know, it's how do I get this shit in my pocket for them even?
Yeah, that's where we're at. We're at step one. Like how do we fill our
like I feel They still trying to get it either way, I think, but
Right.
they can't get it if it's not there. Like,
Oh, that's just God moving furniture. Word.
Vision to vision to paper, precision incision to wake up. Envision the vision our maker. We reppin' the deed on the paper. All of this earth, yeah, we got it. We want for shit cause he got us. You ain't got shit if you tossed it, cause what has been given is awesome. When is you getting gonna get it? Why you sitting even a minute? Heaven is a windfall felt, and a vision for the lift all ship shape. The river will run and the river will break. On a vision for the mission, case you really wanna listen, gonna glisten, go. Page for the path on passion seek. On a page from the ripped old ship where the captain sits under palace seas. Oh, the pageantry, marching in the place where the palace be. Harking to the stars when they fall from the sky like the signs on the leaves of an autumn tree. You glow, I glow, I know, who knows, ergo, ego, we go, two, right in it, and wanna whip up with it, in the taste of a mystic whiz kid. Same as everybody wants, all is true, I'm gonna sip on it until the dream wanna come right back and follow you. Over the stat, over the rap, over the cash, over the past, over at last, beholding the path, the golden at last, now that's on the map. What do you call a game? They need a leader. Yeah, what's in the name for all believers? What do you call a game when they need a leader? Yeah, what's in the name for all believers? Vision to paper, precision incision to wake up. Envision the vision our maker. We reppin' the deed on the paper. All of this earth, yeah, we got it. We want for not cause he's got us. You ain't got shit if you toss it, cause what has been given is awesome. Page for the path on passion seek. On a page from the ripped old ship where the captain sits under palace seas. Oh, the pageantry, marching in the place where the palace be. Harking to the stars when they fall from the sky like the signs on the leaves of an autumn tree. Over the stat, over the rap, over the cash, over the past, over at last, beholding the path, the golden at last, now that's on the map. When you gonna get it? Why are you sitting in even a minute? Heaven is a windfall felt, and a vision for the lift all ship shape. The river will run and the river will break. Page for the path on passion seek. On a page from the ripped old ship where the captain sits under palace seas. Oh, the pageantry, marching in the place where the palace be. Harking to the stars when they fall from the sky like the signs on the leaves of an autumn tree. Over the stat, over the rap, over the cash, over the past, over at last, beholding the path, the golden at last, now that's on the map. Like the signs on the leaves of an autumn tree.